So he says, leaders think and talk about solutions, whereas followers think and talk about the problem. What I always say is also, if the door has been opened, make sure that door doesn't close. The problem with why empowerment has become such a hot topic now is because a lot of women are not in the position to make that choice. They don't have the luxury of being able to choose what they want to do.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Conversations That Lead, a podcast where we dive deep into the real stories of leadership, the triumphs, the doubts, and the moments that actually define us of who we are today. And today, we're very honored to have a very special guest, someone who wears multiple hats, with passion and purpose. She's known for her leadership, advocacy, and in the changes she's brought to many lives. Datin Dona, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me here.
How are you feeling today?
All right. A little bit got the ahems after a flu.
Okay. Please make sure to drink more water.
Yes.
Today's episode is also sponsored by Sundrop. And as you can see, I have the guava juice here. And what do you have?
I have the original orange.
Okay. Maybe let's do a quick Sarawaki hoo-ha. Right? Shall we do that? Okay. All right. Cheers.
Ooh-ha.
Okay. It tastes low in sugar. All right. Datin Dona, are you ready for our podcast today?
I guess so.
So this podcast is more of a conversation between you and I. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about a little bit about the struggles or the sacrifices and the moments of doubt that made up the journey of who you are today. Okay?
All right.
Are you ready?
Yes, okay.
Okay, so I know that leadership is not just about titles, it's about the weight that we carry behind the scenes when nobody is watching us, right? So we're really looking forward to learning from you here.
Thank you.
All right, so people often see you as, this confident, poised leader in you, all right? So, but if we were to strip away the titles, the achievements and the public image, so who is Datin Dona at her core?
At my core, I guess I'm somebody who I like to work on the ground. Yes. I like to see what's happening.
Yes.
And then that way you get to connect to more people and try to understand what they are going through.
Right.
So I think because of that, a lot of people see me as approachable.
Right.
Yeah. So then they'll actually come and tell me what their issues are. And so that also helps me to sort of like plan and think about what I want to do going forward. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can say that they're more open up to you, in terms of their issues and their troubles that is deep within them.
Yeah, some of the issues that they might have in, like, say, implementing a project or trying to move forward.
Right. I think that's a very strong point because you have to be connected to people. Only then, you're able to solve more of their problems and issues within the community, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so nowadays social media creates this pressure to only show the best version of yourself. Social media. So have you ever felt the struggle between your true self and the person that you're expected to be? Like, for example, my personal story would be, people see me as this outspoken lady, but then, deep down inside me, I'm just a very timid young lady who can, if possible, not talk.
I think the struggle is probably trying to control your emotions. Right. Because we're all very emotional. I'm a Pisces, so you have the struggle between the two fish. Yeah. So, but what I do is, so like when I used to sort of answer questions on social media and all that, I would sort of like type out what I really feel, and then delete, and then type out what you think would be the logical answer.
Okay.
Yeah, because how do you say, an image? Not say an image, but there is a
certain responsibility.
Responsibility about what you say.
Right.
And you know that if I just get angry and say something, it's going to have much wider repercussions that I'm going to have to deal with later. So that is the struggle that I have. But so that's how I get rid of it, is because I actually type it all out. And then it's there, and then I read it, and then I delete it all, and then I write out the proper answer.
Okay, it's more like
a therapy.
Ranting.
Yeah, I rant to myself.
The computer or whatnot.
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you realize, maybe let's not do it. You know,
Yeah, it's going to be more difficult.
Yeah, let's just be more logical in that sense.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
It do happen, in our daily lives, and sometimes when you are so frustrated, or especially when you're tired, exhausted, and then you get the punch in the face some more, then you realize that we are women, so we need somewhere to actually express ourselves out. So that's a very good trick. I'll
just make sure you don't click send.
But sometimes it does happen.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Anyways, now I'm sure you're a great leader and you're a great mother, right? Because I'm a mother to a very beautiful daughter. She's 2 this year.
Oh, that's
and
sweet.
I also know that you love cooking, right?
Yes, I do.
Cooking, right? You love cooking with such, your busy schedule around and demanding schedule. How do you actually find time, for your family or your kids when they were younger?
Well, when they were younger, I wasn't so involved in
I see.
social work.
I see.
So it's only when they were more, I think, towards late primary school, early secondary school, that I find that I did have a little bit more time on hand.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started. Before that, I would just sort of like maybe once a year go and help at some charity sale or something like that. So I knew that I enjoyed that kind of work. But
Right.
like you said, with young kids and all that, you have such a busy schedule. They swimming lessons, piano, and all this kind of thing, and then you just want to be there for them as well.
Exactly. That's how I feel. So currently juggling between motherhood and career building. So sometimes they say mom guilt. So how do you actually? What advice you have for people like me who has mom guilt? You have to build a career, then you have to be there for your kids, or you don't want to miss anything that they do, even the smallest, slightest changes in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about finding your own balance. So I think now, especially with after COVID, a lot more people finding that their schedules tend to be a little bit more flexible. So they do allow you to work more from home, or you can do some things after hours. So it's about trying to find that balance between what you have to do for your career and also what you want to do about not missing out. Like you said, the little things, the first steps and all that kind of
so
stuff.
Cute now.
Yeah, that's right.
Young
It's
babies.
hard to tear away from them at
I
that
know.
time.
So it's sometimes it's a bit tough for me inside out. At times you just want to sit down in a quiet corner and maybe just cry it all out. Get that emotional burst out of you. It's a juggling between not just being a great mother but a great leader, and also at the same time you have to take care of yourself, right? Yeah, because I think taking care of yourself is the first step to actually building a good foundation to become a great leader and a great mother. Do you agree to me?
I do agree. And I find that the best place to cry is in the shower.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it like your safe space or
that's
something
my
like
safe space. And then especially like when we lost a pet or something like that, and you try to be strong for the kids because you know that they were suffering so much. So yeah, I just take a nice warm shower and then
take your alone time in the toilet. Take as much time as you can in the toilet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We totally understand the struggle. Sometimes we just need to let it all out, right? Leadership isn't just about being strong, but it's the taking into what we see as ourselves as vulnerable as well, right?
That's
and
right.
It's also about making decisions. Am I right? So it's about carrying all these responsibilities, sometimes even when nobody else is around us. We still have to carry that responsibility as a leader. So what's one part of leadership that people don't talk about but you've personally struggled with, like a hidden challenge in your leadership journey? Is it an inborn thing for are you an inborn leader, or somebody who actually learns along the way and whatnot?
I guess it must have been inborn because, like in school, I was in Girl Guides.
Wow.
So I was patrol leader and then assistant company leader.
Wow.
Wow. So I guess that part, must have been inborn. But like you said, there are struggles. The thing that I struggle most with is actually delegating.
Oh, wow. That's
because sometimes you have very high expectations of what you want done. And then you find that sometimes when you ask somebody to help you to do it,
and then
it's not what you want, you have to do it again anyway. But there, of course, have been times that I have found when I do delegate, and because you can tell from a person, and then you give them the chance to start doing smaller things, and then you're rewarded when you find that they can do a pretty good job. And then it does save you time, and you just have to make just a few minor adjustments.
Right. So it's a satisfaction for you.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But have you ever had the moment where you have to like be really hands-on on a person when you lead, like really like teaching them step by step and whatnot?
Oh, I guess when you have new people coming to join you, and you want to make sure that their thoughts and all that kind of are in sync with the way you think. So you have to tell them the direction that you want to go. Sort of like not being, so I don't call myself an activist, so you correctly put there as an advocate. Because I find that when you use the word activist, it's more of a fight kind of thing, whereas an advocate is more on education and trying to guide people. So this is one of the things that when somebody new comes in, and then you sort of like tell them, well, this is the direction that we would like to go.
We are talking about responsibilities as a leader when somebody new steps into the company or an organization, right? So I've known that you have quite a number of leadership positions in this community. So were there moments when you thought that maybe this isn't for me?
Not really, because I do get quite a lot of offers. For me to sort of like come into something, and then I'm quite good at realizing before I get in that that's not something I want to do. Or even though they say you don't have to do anything, that's not my style, to sit there and not do anything. And then so I kind of declined certain roles that people had asked me to play.
Okay, so was it a difficult situation or decision that you had to make? No, not really.
Not really. There was one that I really struggled with. Was where they wanted me to take on a national role.
Oh, wow.
Because I knew that would be very time consuming. Unfortunately, I was not in the country when the election for that role took place. And so from the floor they said, you have to be in the country, even though previously they had elected somebody who wasn't. So, but then that came as a great relief.
Oh, okay.
Because I knew that was one that I really struggled with accepting. To accept. One that I struggled to accept because I knew it was going to take a lot of my time. Because national, like I said, I'm not the kind of person who can just sit there and let other people do it.
So throughout your whole leadership journey, was there any specific time or moment that you have to let go of something or somebody, whether it was a person or your own dreams or a version of yourself that you have to let go?
Well, I think there's only one version of myself, so you get the original version, whether you like it or not. But I think difficult decision was the first time I had to let a staff member go. Because I'd never had to do that before.
Then that's a very difficult thing to do.
I was trying to, how do I tell him, that you're not quite suitable for this job? And the first time was very difficult. The second time I had to do it was also for a guy, but he had the gift of the gab.
Okay.
You know, he could really speak. So I told him, I said, perhaps you should join an airline.
Oh, it's more like giving a suggestion.
Yeah. So I told him, you know, you're not quite suited for here, so maybe an air. And the next thing I knew, I met him in the airport.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I've met him a few times, and he's stuck to that job, and he's enjoying it.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Okay, that's great. That's great. Okay, but how do you actually get yourself to tell them that
Oh, I run the scenario through my mind many times. Yeah, you know.
Because it's very
should I tell him this? Should I say it like that? And then you're trying to, you make a statement, and then you sort of like realize, oh, if I say that,
what will he think?
Yeah, how he will feel, how he will react, and all that. So yeah, run it through your mind a lot of times, and then sort of like come to how you can say it gently and nicely.
Gently and nicely. But because these are the things that I'm still learning. It's so difficult.
That's the most difficult thing.
Yes, especially when you giving advices sometimes may sound really harsh, to the people who are listening. But actually, you don't mean it that way, right? So I think perhaps next time, I should just run it through my mind first, and then get to understand what other people think first.
Yeah, that's right.
It's also one of the very difficult point in leadership, right? Be able to communicate clearly and well with each other, because sometimes you're so afraid to hurt other people's feelings. Yeah, this is what I'm facing currently. So throughout your leadership journey, I can see that you're a very successful leader. I would say that under my definition. So did your definition of success change over time? Because I think a lot of people nowadays, especially the younger generations, success are mostly defined by materials.
Yeah.
So has there ever be any changes of the definition of success in your life before?
Well, I'm fortunate that I don't have to worry about the material side of things. So therefore, for me, success is getting to see a project implemented. So kind of like with SSPCA, Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Since 2009, we had asked the government to give us a new piece of land. And so that is 16 years ago.
Wow.
So it has taken us that long, and it took us about 10 years to get the piece of land, and then we did the groundbreaking in 2019, and then COVID came, and so it's taken us 5 years to get the planning approvals and all that done. And so now, the government will be giving us sufficient grant so that we can actually go ahead and build the animal village.
Yes, I saw.
So that is my dream.
Right.
So success to me would be able to see that complete, but not just the building complete, because it has to go further than that. You have to see that it's running. So for another 3 to 4 years, that it can be sustainable.
Right.
And then after that, I can retire. That's the dream.
That's your dream, retire. As long as things can go smoothly along the way.
Yeah, then maybe I'll just be a trustee, so that's it. Yeah.
Okay, but 10 years, it's a long time,
10 years to get the land.
Yes, 10 years.
Because
have you ever had the moment like, whatever, I'm just gonna put my dreams down and 10
no, I
years
kept because I knew that was what we needed. Because previously where the current shelter is, it used to be empty land all around us, and now there's shop houses, and it's a commercial center all around us. And because we're lower than the rest, we're subject to flooding. Although this year we were very fortunate. I think they have completed the flood mitigation, so the whole of Sentosa was spared from the flooding this year. But we need to move out because we don't want it to be a shelter anymore. So that's why we're changing it to an animal village, because you want to change the whole concept of how people think of animals. So you want it to be a happy place. So we'll have an educational center, a vet clinic for low-cost neutering, grooming, and then of course a park where people can come and learn how to train their dogs, and we can train the owners to be responsible.
So it's more of a training center, and
it's a holistic, yeah, more holistic. Right. So you'll have education, teaching about responsible pet ownership, and then neutering, because that's the only way you're going to be able to control the animal population. Strays all come from unneutered animals.
Right.
Yeah, and then somewhere where people can enjoy themselves with their animals as well.
I see. So it's not just a place for the sheltered animals anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. So we're actually looking forward to working with you as well, together with JCI and whatnot. So were there any moments that you feel, women empowerment is such a hot topic nowadays, right? So we often see stories of women having a successful career, breaking barriers and stepping out of their comfort zones, and this is all about women empowerment recently, or this few years time. So but what does it actually means as woman empowerment? Because must all women have a successful career and be a strong leader, to be able to categorize as woman empowerment? What's your take on different paths, whether they decided to choose to become a stay-at-home moms, or caregivers, or women who actually simply prefer a very quiet life?
I think empowerment actually means allowing them to have the choice.
Yeah.
So if they want to go out to become a leader, or if they want to stay at home and be a homemaker, that is their choice. The problem with why empowerment has become such a hot topic now is because a lot of women are not in the position to make that choice. They don't have the luxury of being able to choose what they want to do.
Right.
Yeah, so that's my idea of empowerment. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to go out there and be a leader.
Yes,
if everybody's a leader, who's going to follow?
Exactly.
But yeah, so my idea of empowerment is allowing them to be able to have that choice.
To choose their own path.
That's right.
Okay, so we were talking about women empowerment just now, and being able to choose what they want in life and what makes them actually happy, right? So for those who is lost currently, as a woman who is lost currently, what any piece of advice that you could give them to finding their own paths and not just blindly follow others?
Oh, well, you have to understand their circumstances. I think they should just look deep within themselves to find what they really want to do. Nowadays, you have so many options.
Definitely.
And so many ways to find out about what you want to do. Everything is on YouTube. If you're interested in certain subjects and all that, everything's just out there at the sort of like click of a mouse. But for them to really, I think, to go out and experience. So maybe you might think, I want to be a singer, and it sounds easy, but you should go out and try. And then you'll probably find out, that's a lot more difficult than you thought. Like you said, with social media, there's a lot of focus on the good side of things, so they don't see the struggles that go on before you achieve that vision of success. So I think for them, I would advise them to go out and try new experiences. Don't be afraid. One thing I know is very good for confidence boosting. Because a lot of people are not comfortable speaking in public. So something like Toastmasters or something like that, or even joining JCI, because you talk about young people, go out there, find an NGO that you think you might be interested in joining, because there are so many opportunities there to meet people and to discuss what they might want to do. Or even in schools, you know, you join your different clubs that you have in schools. And it just meeting other people would open up your mind to different paths that you might want to take.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because you know, like you mentioned, they only see the good side of it. You know, it's easy to say, you know, nowadays kids likes to be like what, content creator.
Yeah,
wants to
that's
be a
right.
content creator. But then, what is behind all this content creation? You know, success. You know, it's the struggle and the sleepless nights and the criticize.
The keyboard warriors.
Yeah, the keyboard warriors.
Yes.
You know, those are the things that, you know, you have to take in, and it's not easy to deal with.
That's right.
Yeah. So currently, you know, if you haven't found something that you want, what Datin Dona is suggesting is that, you know, you try out whatever paths that you can. You know, give yourself some time. You know, maybe a year or two to try things out before giving up, or like before you want to switch paths.
Yeah, changing.
Before you decided to switch paths.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah. Okay. So it has been a long journey for you, Datin Dona. So looking back, is there anything that you regret or you wish you had done differently back then? Any situation, under any circumstances, any decisions that you feel like, you know, you wish you had done differently?
That's a hard one.
Yes.
Because I'm very lucky that my husband's a very logical thinker.
Aww.
Yeah, so he's my sounding board.
Oh.
Yeah, so
that's nice.
Yeah, so if before
you make any decisions,
I make any major decisions, or if I'm feeling particularly frustrated,
right?
And sometimes I tell him, I just want to go and tell them this, you know.
Yes.
Yes. Then he's very logical, and he's been a great support, and yeah, I'm just very fortunate. Yeah, that I can sound it off to him. So I won't say there's been any major situation that I've been in that I've had to regret.
Oh,
yeah.
That's nice. That's so sweet. Husband, if you're watching this, I'm just kidding.
I'll make him watch.
So if you could sit across from your younger self, you know, back then, maybe the version of you who was just starting out, or your NGO's platform and whatnot, and what would you tell her? You know, what would you tell her?
I would tell her, you're not going to believe what you're going to be able to do.
Wow. Whoa, that's a very powerful thing.
Yeah, because I never thought that I would be able to sort of like bring SSPCA to where we are now, especially like working with the government and all that kind of thing.
Right.
And then with like culinary heritage, we got Kuching listed as a city of gastronomy.
Wow.
And then there was a book project that we did under the Eurasian Association. And my publisher said, oh, I will just enter this for some competition. So we're like, yeah, okay, you know. And we never expected to win. So we won in Paris.
Wow.
Yeah, and I did the whole cry on stage.
Aww. That's cute.
I like to thank my husband.
See, you know, the main thing is that I learned from this one, that, you know, have to have a good husband, your supportive husband. Okay, out of the topic, right? You know, some people say leadership is all about persistency. Do you agree to that?
I think so.
Yeah.
You have to be persistent to help realize your goals.
Right.
But what I always say is also, if the door has been opened, make sure that door doesn't close. You always have to keep your foot in the door to make sure it stays open, especially dealing with like rabies, because we got in there right in the beginning. We were able to give some advice to the government, and through the years, although we disagreed with some of the things that were happening, we made sure that we always remained at the table. We made sure that we weren't, aggressive in bringing our ideas across, because that would close the door. So and once that door is closed, it's very difficult to get back in. So this is one of the difficult places where you have to balance what you want to do, what they're thinking about doing or how they're thinking about doing it, and then through the meetings and the conversations that you have with them, then you say, well, maybe we should do it this way, or internationally, this would be a more accepted method. So, and I'm glad to see that over the years, they have sort of like been listening to us and have changed some of their ideas.
Oh, well, that's a long journey, right? For
yes,
SSPCA.
That's right. I remember my friend Leo. He's with Orangutan Project. So he said, anyone dealing with animal welfare has to be in an endurance race. It's a long haul.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Is this because of your you love animals very much? Is this where SSPCA comes from? Yeah,
when I was a kid, I wanted to be a vet. I always my mom used to get so frustrated with me because I would come home with a kitten in my pocket.
Oh wow, stray
kitten. In the old days, we used to have to clean our classrooms.
Okay.
So end of the year, we bring a bucket and a brush, and generally when I go home, there'll be a kitten inside the bucket.
Oh wow! So, do your mom let you keep the kitten during that time?
No, she would ask me to go, and so I have to find neighbors. So I would start already, go around asking neighbors, "Will you take this kitten?"
Oh dear! I thought you were putting it back. No.
No. I'll find a home for it. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. But what about dogs? Are there any difference between your love for dogs or your love for cats?
I think I've always been more of a cat person, but my boys love the dogs. So we have dogs at home. Currently we only have one. We had 3, but unfortunately 2 passed away. And then we all cried in the showers.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Yeah. So and then and we have 3 cats and 2 foster cats.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do they stay together?
Well, I have one bossy cat who doesn't allow the foster cats to get past the laundry area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he makes sure that they know where their place is.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So you have to separate them, kind of separate them.
Yeah. Well, Rocky teaches them where they're supposed to stay, and so they stay back in the back garden part.
But I have this question in my mind that do dogs usually they don't get along with cats or something like that?
Well, here I think
I'm curious.
Yeah. Usually they don't,
but
they do, yeah, they like my cats. I remember my cat used to sleep with that time we had a golden retriever, so she used to sleep in his fur, and then she would do the massage, sort of kneading sort of actions.
So it depends on the type of dogs as well.
Yeah, it depends on the type of dogs. I remember we had one old cat, and that time was still the same retriever, so he would come and try and eat her food, and she would just slap him on the face.
Oh dear, and then he doesn't get angry?
No.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. That's very tame.
Yeah, so it depends on the dog as well. I think my current dog, though, looks like he's part terrier, so he's a bit more territorial. So
Okay.
And he always barks at the cats when they're going by.
Sense.
So
makes sense. And it all depends on the who they are in person. We're talking about emotions and how we actually deal with it. And then from Martiana's side, she's asking whether do you still deal with pressure from the public, or like was it something that you learn to get a hang of it as you go along?
I think over the years you kind of get the hang of it, and then the direction that you're heading, and then that's when you start to lead, so you don't give in to the pressures.
Right.
Yeah, you hear what they're saying and all that kind of thing, but you don't really give into it, so you maintaining your own integrity.
In terms when it comes to leadership, right, is vulnerability okay to be accepted? You have to be vulnerable at times, right?
I think it is. It shows the human side of you. You're not all superhuman. None of us are superhuman, and dealing with negative emotions and all this coming from the public, like I said, the keyboard warriors, it's very easy for them to make comments, and a lot of them can be quite nasty.
Yes.
So dealing with that, because it's quite frustrating sometimes.
Yes.
When you see what they're saying, because they're obviously not really understanding the issues at hand.
Exactly.
And so, so I think a good leader reads those comments, and that also helps to formulate what you do moving forward, but you don't give in to that pressure.
Do you acknowledge them?
No, I don't acknowledge most of them, because otherwise they will just go on and with more rubbish.
Right. It makes sense.
Yeah.
As a leader, whether Datin Dona actually feels like the bigger bully is the public, or is it actually ourselves?
I would say the public, because, like I said, sometimes they don't understand the situation that you're having to deal with, and then they oversimplify and they say, well, why don't you just do this? And then that's putting pressure on you.
Right.
So that's what I see as bullying in that sense. I feel that the public is the bigger bully than ourselves. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that actually makes sense, because negative comments from outside can actually influence how we feel and also our thinking as well, right? In terms of that. So I think we've come to the end of the podcast, but before that, one last thing, if you have one sentence to summarize leadership, what would it be?
So there's one quote from a motivational speaker, Brian Tracy. So he says, leaders think and talk about solutions, whereas followers think and talk about the problem. And that is actually something that I think I have been kind of focused on.
Yes,
yeah.
You're right. Okay, and that's it for today's podcast. But before we actually end, we have a special surprise for you, Datin Dona. Are you guys ready? But it's a birthday month, so we actually prepared a special birthday cake for her. Are you guys singing? Are you guys singing together with me? Happy birthday. Where do I start? Happy birthday to you. Thank you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Datin Dona. Happy birthday.
And there's the
surprise.
Yes. It's the COVID wave. Thank you.
You're much welcome.
Yeah.
And that's it for today's podcast. And thank you very much, Datin Dona, for your presence here today and sharing your wonderful, inspirational journey as a leader for us. And I'm sure that we all learned quite a bit of too from Datin Dona as well. And once again, thank you, Sandra, for sponsoring us in this podcast.
Cheers.
Until next time.